let's continue with the requirements. Letter A, compute for the installment sale in 20x3. B, compute for the cash collections in 20x3. C, compute for the total realized gross profit in 20x3. So we have now 4 requirement. Letter A, how much is the total installment sales in 20x3? Now you are given the receivable balance, but that receivable balance of 1.2 million is already after making some collections in 20x3. Whereas the total installment sale in 20x3 is equal to the deferred gross profit in 20x3 is 750,000. And according to the data given, that 750,000 is still before adjustment. In other words, you have not adjusted its balance at the end of 20x3. So we compute for the installment sales in 20x3 simply by dividing 750,000 by the gross profit rate based on cost. So the gross profit rate is 33 and 1/3%. Divide 750,000 by 33 and 1/3%. So you get 3 million. Repeat, deferred gross profit in 20x3 in the amount of 750,000. And then we divide that by the gross profit rate based on cost. That's equal to 33 and 1/3%. So your installment sales in 20x3 is 3 million. That's the answer to letter A. Letter B, compute the total cash collections in 20x3. Since we already have 3 years of installment sales, now we compute the cash collections now. The installment receivable 20x1 on January 1, 20x3 still had a balance of 400,000. So the installment receivable for 20x1 year of sale, the balance is 400,000. We deduct the installment receivable balance at the end of 20x3. So deduct installment receivable 20x1 as of December 31, 20x3. The balance already 0. So in other words, the cash collection in 20x3 for the 20x1 year of sale, the cash collection is 400,000. So you draw a single line to that 400,000. That is our first collection. Second collection is that of year of sale 20x2. So installment receivable 20x2. As of January 1, 20x3, the balance is 1.2 million. So installment receivable for 20x2 as of January 1, 20x3, the amount of receivable is 1.2 million. We deduct the balance as of December 31, 20x3. We deduct the amount of 480,000. So deduct 480,000. There is a difference of 720,000. 720,000. That is now your cash collection in 20x3 for the 20x2 sale. Cash collection in 20x3 for the 20x2 sales. The amount of 720,000. So this is our second collection. The first is 400,000. Second is 720,000. And the third is that of the current year. Installment sale in 20x3 as computed is 3 million as computed in letter A. So installment sale in 20x3 as computed in letter A. Our installment sale in 20x3 is 3 million. Then we deduct the installment receivable balance as of December 31, 20x3. The installment receivable balance for the 20x3 seal. For the 20x3 seal. The balance by December 31, 20x3 is 1.2 million. The balance is 1.2 million. So the cash collection is 1,800,000. 1,800,000 pertaining to the 20x3 sales. So what is now our total cash collection from the 20x1 sales? 400,000. From the 20x2 sales, 720,000. And from the 20x3 sales of 1.8 million. So the total collections is 2,920,000. The total collection is 2,920,000. That's the requirement, letter B. Compute for the total cash collections in 20x3. In other words, your collections came from 20x1 sales, 20x2, and 20x3. So the total cash collections of 2,920,000. We go to requirement number letter C. Compute for the total realized gross profit in 20x3. So we now compute for the realized gross profit for the 20x3 period. No? However, our realized gross profit amounts come from the 3-year period of sales. So first, let's compute for the gross profit rate based on. Okay, the gross profit rates. What are the gross profit rates? Based on sales. The gross profit rates based on sales will be computed as we divide the deferred gross profit by the balance of the installment receivable account. So, will you draw two columns? Will you draw two columns, 20x1 and 20x2? You draw two columns, 20x1 and 20x2. For 20x1, first we start with deferred gross profit, January 1, 20x3. Deferred gross profit, January 1, 20x3. On the 20x1 column, the amount of 88,000. On the 20x1 column, the amount of 88,000. On the 20x2 column, the amount of 288,000. The amount of 288,000. Okay. So deferred gross profit, January 1, 20x3, 20x1 column extend 88,000, 20x2 column extend 288,000. Next, we divide by installment receivable. We divide by installment receivable balances on January 1, 20x3. We divide by the installment receivable balances on January 1, 20x3. So under the 20x1 column, 400,000. Under the 20x2 column, 1.2 million. So 400,000 and 1.2 million. The gross profit rates based on sales are the gross profit rates based on sales are, so we divide 88,000 by 400,000. 88,000 divided by 400,000. That gives us 22%. So 88,000 divided by 400,000. That gives us 22%. Then the last column, 20x2, we divide 288,000 divided by 1.2 million. 288,000 divided by 1.2 million. So you now get 24%. You get 24%. Okay? So you get 24%. That's your gross profit rate based on sales. Requirement letter C is asking for the total realized gross profit in 20x3. But before we compute for the realized gross profit, we are computing for the gross profit rates. So the gross profit rate in 20x1 as computed is 22%, in 20x2, 24%. Now, let's compute for the gross profit rate based on cost in 20x3 can be translated to gross profit based on sales. So, what is the gross profit rate based on sales in 20x3? We are now dividing the gross profit rate based on cost by 133 and 1/3%. So the gross profit rate based on cost is 33 and 1/3%. We divide it by 133 and 1/3%. So 33 and 1/3% divided by 133 and 1/3%, we get the gross profit rate based on sales equal to 25%. The gross profit rate based on sales is 25%. So our gross profit rates are 20x1, 22%, 20x2, 24%, and 20x3, 25%. Okay, 25%. Now, we have to compute for the realized gross profit in 20x3. That's in requirement C. Compute for the realized gross profit in 20x3. So we have now to multiply collections by the gross profit rate. So the collections multiplied by the gross profit rate. Collections, so we have now year of sale. Column 1, year of sale. Column 2, collections. So column 1, year of sale. Column 2, collections in 20x3. That's column 2, collections in 20x3. Column 3, gross profit rate based on sales. Gross profit rate based on sales. And column 4, realized gross profit. And column 4, realized gross profit. Okay? So we have now a column 1, 20x1, collections 400,000, gross profit rate 22%, realized gross profit is 88,000. Okay, muna. Then, second line, year of sale, 20x2, collection, 720,000, gross profit rate, 24%, and you have the realized gross profit of 172,800. 172,800. Then finally, we go to year of sale 20x3, collections 1.8 million. How did we get 1.8 million? The total sales is 3 million. The balance of the receivable at the end of 20x3 is 1.2 million. So your collections amounted to 1.8 million. 1.8 million times the gross profit rate of 25%. 25%. So you realize gross profit is 450,000. So 88,000 plus 172,800 plus 450,000. We now get the total realized gross profit in 20x3 of 710,800. 710,800. Okay, so that's now your letter C requirement for illustration 3. Next, we go to illustration 4. We go to illustration 4. Problem. The company uses the installment sales method. The company uses the installment sales method. On December 31, 20x3, the record showed the following balances. On December 31, 20x3, the record showed the following balances. On December 31, 20x3, the record showed the following balances. First, deferred gross profit before year-end adjustments. Deferred gross profit before year-end adjustments. For deferred gross profit before year-end adjustments, the balance of 1,126,000. 1,126,000. 1,126,000. That's the balance of your deferred gross profit before adjustments. Next, installment receivable 20x2. Installment receivable 20x2, 480,000. Installment receivable 20x2, 480,000. Next, Installment receivable 20x3, 1.2 million. 1.2 million. Gross profit rate in 20x2. Gross profit rate in 20x2 is 24% based on sales. Gross profit rate in 20x2 is 24% based on sales. Okay? While gross profit rate in 20x3 is 33 and 1/3% based on cost. I'll repeat, the gross profit rate in 20x2 is 24% based on sales, while the gross profit rate in 20x3 is 33 and 1/3% based on cost. Required, compute for the realized gross profit in 20x3. Compute for the realized gross profit in 20x3. Okay, we begin with deferred gross profit before year-end adjustments. Deferred gross profit before year-end adjustments. 1,126,000. Deferred gross profit before year-end adjustments, 1,126,000. That's your deferred gross profit before adjustments. Then we have to deduct from that amount, we deduct the adjusted balance or the adjusted balances of deferred gross profit. We deduct the adjusted balances of deferred gross profit. Okay, installment receivable 20x2. Installment receivable 20x2 times the gross profit rate. So the installment receivable in 20x2 of 480,000, you multiply that by 24%. So you get the result of 115,200. Now, 115,200 indent mo anay, no? Installment receivable 20x2 times the gross profit rate. So you have 480,000 times 24%, 115,200. Next, installment receivable 20x3 times the gross profit rate. Installment receivable 20x3 times the gross profit rate is equal to 1.2 million. That's the receivable balance. We multiply by 33 and 1/3%, 33 and 1/3% divided by 133 and 1/3%. So 1.2 million, amo lang na you multiply that by the quotient in divide. Okay? I'll repeat the solution. Deferred gross profit before year-end adjustments, 1,126,000. Then we deduct the adjusted balance of deferred gross profit. Installment receivable 20x2 times gross profit rate. So 480,000 times 24% equals 115,200. Then we divide, then we add installment receivable of 20x3 times the gross profit rate. So we have now 1.2 million. You multiply by the quotient in dividing 33 and 1/3% by 133 and 1/3%. So the product is 300,000. Adding 115, 200, and 300,000, the total is 415,200. 415,200, deduct that from 1,126,000. The difference is the deferred gross profit, realized gross profit. That's the decrease in deferred gross profit, and that is your realized gross profit, 710,800. 710,800. Okay, we go to illustration number 5. I think this will be the last, and then I'll give you your assignment in the canvas. Ipatype pa, no? So I'll give you the assignment in the canvas for this topic, installment sales. So just look at the canvas, siguro maghapon, for the assignment, short lang. And so we will discuss it next time. And for tomorrow, I will be discussing the next module. Okay, illustration 5. The company uses the installment method. The following information was taken from ABC's records. The following information was taken from the records. Okay, so you create 2 columns. Column 1, 20x1. Column 2, 20x2. First, installment sales. Question mark for the 2. Installment sales, question mark for the 2 columns. Cost of sales, 20x1, 600,000. 20x2, 660,000. So 600,000 and 660,000. Next, installment receivable 20x1, 20x1 column 600,000, 20x2 column 400,000. So 600 and 400,000. Then installment receivable 20x2, 20x2 column 720,000. 720,000. Okay? Then we go to gross profit rates based on sales. Gross profit rates based on sales. 20x1, 40%. 20x1, 40%. 20x2, 45%. 20x1, 40%, 20x2, 45%. Required, compute the realized gross profit in 20x2. Compute the realized gross profit in 20x2. So we now begin with installment receivable 20x1. Installment receivable 20x1 on January 1, 20x2. On January 1, 20x2. Repeat, installment receivable for 20x1 on January 1, 20x2. The amount of 600,000. The amount of 600,000. Next, Installment receivable 20x1 on December 31, 20x2. Installment receivable 20x1 on December 31, 20x2 in the amount of 400,000. So the difference is 200,000. That's the decrease representing collections. That's the decrease representing collections during the year. Representing collections during the year. Then we multiply it by the gross profit rate of 40%. That's the gross profit rate of 20x1 because the collections of 200,000 is that of 20x1. So the gross profit rate is 40%. So the realized gross profit in 20x2 for the 20x1 sale, the realized gross profit in 20x2 from the 20x1 sale is 80,000. The realized gross profit in 20x2 from 20x1 sale is 80,000. Okay. You draw one line to that 80,000. Then we go to installment sales of 20x2. Installment sales of 20x2. Compute. Okay. 660,000. 660,000 divided by 55%. 660,000 divided by 55%. Divided by 55%. That's the portion pertaining to the receivable. Since the gross profit rate is 45%, meaning the receivable portion, here we still have 55% pertaining to the amount of 660,000. That's the cost. And the cost is equivalent to 55%. So we divide 660,000 cost by the cost rate of 55%. You now get the total installment sales of 1.2 million. Installment sales of 1.2 million. We deduct the installment receivable of 20x2. Deduct the installment receivable of 20x2 for 720,000. For 720,000. So the decrease represents collections. The decrease represents collections during the year. The decrease is 480,000. That's your decrease in collections. 480,000, then we multiply that by the gross profit rate of 45%. You get the product of 216,000. That is, you realize gross profit in 20x2. The realized gross profit in 20x2. Okay? So 216,000. 216,000. So the total now of the realized gross profit, 20x2 from 20x1 sale, 80,000, and 20x2 from 20x2 sale in the amount of 216,000. You add 80,000 from 20x1 sale and 216,000 from 20x2 sale. The total is the realized gross profit in 20x2, the total of 296,000. 296,000. So that is your answer to the requirement in illustration number 5, that you have to determine the total realized gross profit in 20x2. Okay, so that ends our discussions. I'll give you problems on this. You try to see if we have this topic in the book of Dayag. I have not seen any there. Okay, any questions? Now, actually, I will post the assignments sa Canvas. And, okay, you just refer to Canvas and work on the assignment. So we will discuss them next time. Okay? So any questions before we end? Tomorrow, no class, but you refer to the YouTube in the afternoon. Okay? So meaning we are going to meet again on Thursday. Thursday, possibly, we will have the discussions again of the assignment today and a little of the consignment sales that I will be discussing tomorrow. And the test on Friday, so we have installment sales and consignment sales. That will be for Friday. Okay? So we end now with
Ma'am,
yes?
ang assignment namon, ma'am, i-pass na siya, ma'am?
Ang
Or
assignment
i-discuss lang gud?
niyo, ang assignment niyo, hindi ko na pag-i-discuss sa buwas, no? Pero, tuksoon ta kamo sa kwan, sa Thursday. Thursday, tuksoon ta kamo, and I will grade you based on your answers. Kay kung i-pass nyo dito naman sa